Hey there, it's Vashti Sarah. Welcome back to Post Blog. If this is your first time listening, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button, share button, all the buttons to stay connected with the Post Blog podcast. And for those of you who this is not your first time, welcome back. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I hope y'all are doing great, whether you're sipping on your first cup of coffee for the morning or you're driving to work or, you maybe just strolled out of bed and you're just getting started on your day. Whatever it may be, whatever your life looks like, that's a-okay. Before I get into today's topic, I do want to apologize. I probably sound super nasally, and that's because it's allergy season. Every time around this year, I get super stuffy, and it's just the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, with the weather change and wind blowing really hard and things just blowing everywhere, it affects allergies. So for all my people out there who are struggling just as I am, let's unite. Let's be one together in our allergy, nasally sounding self. But anyways, so today I want to talk about you can do hard things. And a couple weeks ago, if you listen to that podcast that I had with guest speakers David and Morgan Hargrove, this is somewhat touching that topic, but a little bit more motivational in the sense of, hey, you heard what they had to say, now go ahead and go do it. So I'm not going to be redundant in this one, maybe just a little bit, but I do want to encourage you to go after those things that you've been telling yourself you can't do. You've been convincing yourself that it's just too difficult, it's too hard, all the what ifs. I want to encourage you to just go for it. A couple of days ago, one of my friends asked me, Vashti, what's going to be your New Year's resolution? And I told her, as much as New Year's resolutions are great, I don't particularly make New Year's resolutions. I don't like making New Year's resolutions, and I honestly don't like the concept of it. While it may be harmless, it doesn't prove or it doesn't show for itself. There's no fruit to the resolution. A lot of people resolutions every single year is I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to start my business, or I'm going to make a friend, or I'm going to start a new job, whatever it may be. And that's great. You have that thing on a list, but it's not measurable. So what I told her was, I don't make resolutions. I make goals for the year. And I have my 5-year goal, my 10-year goal, but also my yearly goals. So these are the things I am going to challenge myself to do, challenge myself to complete. For instance, this year I had a couple goals. Some of them are a little bit more private, and you guys will find out about that next year. But one specific goal was I'm going to run a half marathon. I ran a half marathon before. I ran it in 2020 during COVID, and it was great, but my time was awful. So my goal this year was between 2 hours and 2:10. If I can land between that time, in between that time frame, I would have done it. I met my goal. I met my PR, and I would feel confident in myself. But I didn't just say run a half marathon with a finish time between 2 hours and 2 hours and 10 minutes. No, I literally looked up half marathons, and I asked one of my good friends, hey, are you going to run a half marathon this year? She said yes. She told me which one, and I signed up for it. So it wasn't a list of things: start a business, run a half marathon, lose weight, have children. No, it was measurable. It was in November, I will run a half marathon. By June, I will have started my business. By et cetera, I would have, whatever it may be. So make your goals. My tip to you for this whole new year that's coming in, move away from the resolution that has no type of steps towards it, or that you can measure your process or your progress. Move past that and make goals. Make goals that you can actually measure. Make goals that you have a deadline for. And if you don't meet the deadline, that's fine. But seeing a deadline motivates us to do to completion. But anyways, I digressed. That's just a little pro tip for the new year coming in. Move past the whole resolution thing. Make a measurable goal. Make measurable goals. So let's talk about you can do hard things. I researched, and apparently the top 10 things that people have a hard time doing are 1, getting married, 2, quitting their job, 3, overcoming addiction, 4, leave toxic people behind. 5, say no. 6, be okay with failure. 7, confront conflict. 8, speak out about injustice and truth. 9, trust. And 10, take risk. And I think 10 encompasses all of that, because in getting married, quitting your job, overcoming addiction, leaving toxic people behind, saying no, being okay with failure, confront conflict, speak out about injustice and truth, trusting people, all of that encompasses taking a risk. It encompasses becoming vulnerable. It requires us to become vulnerable. So these are things that people have admitted I have a hard time doing, and I probably won't ever do it. And we don't go after our dreams. We don't do the things that we want to do or have a desire to do because we're just so afraid. I was scrolling through Instagram and I keep seeing variations of this reel. And essentially it's, hey, you were currently living at the age your younger self envied. And I know I'm doing a poor job or a poor imitation of it. Basically, it's saying, hey, are you living to the expectation that you had at your younger self when you were younger? You envied being at this age, so are you fully living to your potential? So I'm asking you that. I want you to pause and reflect for a second. Are you truly living to the potential? Are you truly living out what you have envied when you were younger? No, there are certain things we probably envied. We wanted to, be free and do whatever we want to do and live life and YOLO and all that jazz. And I get it. We're older. We're mature. If you're listening to this podcast and you're in your late 20s like I am, there are certain things where it's just not a part of our age anymore. But there are certain things that we probably envied at a younger age. Are you living out truly your potential? Life flashes before our eyes. Whether you like it or not, life just keeps moving forward. If we're not careful, we will continue living the same life every single year and not take any risks. And risks, as crazy as that word might sound and as intimidating as that word might sound, it is a part of life. For those of us who, are not risk takers like I am, I'm very calculated. I think through the process. I make sure that whatever I'm doing, I know that the results could be A, B, C, or D. And, I plan for the surprise too, but I make calculated risks. But there are times where I can't calculate my risk. There are times where I'm just like, you know what, Lord, this is all on you. And to be honest, in every decision that I make, it is all on him because I don't truly know what the outcome will be. But let me tell you, failure is actually the beginning. If you are so scared of taking risk, failure is actually the beginning because failure isn't the end all. Failure is not the stopping point. Failure is not saying, well, that's doomsday. That's what your life will amount to be. No, failure is the beginning. So in taking risks, and if you fail, and you will fail, let me tell you, when you fail, that is the beginning point that will propel you to keep moving forward. Oftentimes in our rut, that's when we have that motivation even more to just go after it, to defeat that failure, to tell failure or to slap failure in the face and say, you thought you could keep me down, but no. Winston Churchill, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, during World War II, he said, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Continue. If you failed, that's fine. It might hurt. It might be embarrassing, but continue. Keep on keeping on and do the hard thing. If you started a business and it just didn't work, well, learn your lesson and go to another one. If you quit your job and you still can't find one, get off your butt and keep applying. And sometimes it might be humbling to apply for a job that you don't really feel deserves your employment, but you got to do it. Success is never a final destination. And I've seen that in people who have wealth. You could see that with the celebrities today. A lot of them are not satisfied because success is never about a final destination. Success is not the end all, and failure is not the end all. Success is great, failure, not so great, but both are necessary. In failure, we can find success, and in success, there is failure. You can't have one without the other. So just do that hard thing. If you're contemplating marriage, if the person's abusive, verbally, physically, whatever it may be, then run away from that marriage. There's no reason for you to be in it. But if it's just a fear of what if I fail? I get that. But you know who you chose to say yes to. So go for it. If quitting your job is scary, I bet it is. But just do it. Submit that 2-week notice and go after whatever it is that God's placed in your heart to do. Overcoming addiction. I have friends and family members who have been addicted to alcohol and drugs. Maybe you're fearful of what people will say. Oh, they are not truly alcohol-free or drug-free. Who cares what they have to say? This is about you. This is about your life. This is about you doing something that is hard, and overcoming an addiction is hard. So do it. Don't listen to the noise. Leaving toxic people behind. This one's hard because I'm such a people pleaser. Just do it. And you don't have to be rude with it. Oh yeah, we're not going to be friends anymore because you're just so toxic. No, that's not the way around it. It's just as simple as distancing yourself, and eventually you're no longer part of that group. And you'll realize how much healthier you are mentally and in your character and the words that you speak. If you hang around toxic people, you're going to talk like toxic people. So get away from those people. Saying no. What do you need to learn to say no to? I know for me, saying no is difficult because, like I said, I'm a people pleaser. So I say yes to everything, but I've learned I need to say no in order to be the healthiest version of me I could possibly be. So I say my best yes when necessary. And then I say no. And be okay with failure. We talked about that. Be okay with the reality that life is not going to be roses and daisies all the time. And failure is not the end all. Failure is the beginning. Confronting conflict. This is one of my pet peeves, but I have to do it. Don't go into conflict expecting the person that you're confronting to forgive you immediately, to say what you want to say, to respond the way you want them to respond. Go in expecting the worst, that when they respond a little nicer than you thought they would, it's like glory, miracle. God is so great, which he is. But don't ever go into a conflict resolution expecting someone to respond the way you want them to respond. Go in with no expectations and go in with a heart that truly wants to resolve conflict. Speaking out about injustice and truth. That one's hard because today in this society, if you share something controversial, if you share something that is different from someone else's opinion, immediately you're blocked, no longer friends, you're trashed on because you don't think the way other people do. Who gives one? Who gives? If you want to speak out about injustice and truth, do it. As long as what you're sharing, I'll put this pin in there though. As long as what you're speaking out about is actually true. Do your research. Don't share a false narrative. Don't share things that is not true, because if it's not true, then it's a lie. So that's just my little tip on that one. And trust. Trust is a hard one. And I get this one on a personal level. Trust is hard. So start small. Start trusting small. That way it's easier and easier to build that trust. And then take risks. Like I said, all 9 requires taking a risk. I don't know what that hard thing is for you to do, but if you needed someone to tell you today, do it. Do that hard thing. God's with you. The word of God says that I will never leave you nor forsake you. And he is with those who submit to him. So submit that thing to him and do that hard thing. That's it for today, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button, share button, all the buttons to stay connected with the Post Blog podcast. Same time, same place next week. I love y'all, but remember, God loves you most.